Welcome back, Star Wars fans. You almost caught me with my head off the screen there, working on controls because
Scary.
I forgot to check mics before I hit the go button.
But it's okay. He does have a head.
I do. Just got one of those.
It's worrisome. Start calling you the Sleepy Hollow horseman. The headless horseman. That's what they call him.
Yeah.
I actually just finally read Sleepy Hollow for the first time like last week.
Hmm.
Feel like I've missed out on something.
Yeah.
Is that even allowed?
How was it?
It's good. Washington Irving isn't my favorite.
I mean, it's pretty. It's pretty standard for the period that it's written in.
Yeah. It's like I said, Washington Irving's never been my favorite short story writer, which is probably why I never read Sleepy Hollow. But
Yeah.
it was. I mean, you gotta do it at some point.
Yeah,
it's a rule.
All right, so we are going to talk a little bit tonight about the Skeleton Crew trailers and sort of our expectations, and it's kind of part of our new, if you didn't see the episode that went up yesterday, going for a little bit shorter episodes, but much more frequent. Ubaldo has joined us in the chat. It is good to see you. We've been away, and it is very, very good to see some of our old friends back in the chat. And so I realized that I got your address a while back to send you some stickers before Dragon Con, and then forgot to send them to you because we went to Dragon Con and I forgot about everything because it takes a toll. It's not a vacation.
No, it's not, especially not whenever I wound up having to work. And so Andrew wins like best dad / uncle of the year. He took 6 children to Dragon Con while I sat in a hotel room and worked.
Yep. So, but I hadn't forgotten. I've got your address. I'm going to send you those stickers this week.
Perfect.
But yeah, we're going to talk about Skeleton Crew. We're going to talk a little bit about our expectations. My mic is way too loud. Why is my mic so loud?
Because you're so loud.
I am a little bit loud.
You are a little bit.
That. All right, that's not better. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's better. All right, so Skeleton Crew trailer.
Yes.
Expectations. We'll address a little bit. There's, of course, the show's still a month away, a little less than a month. We're actually getting pretty close.
Yeah.
Basically right after Thanksgiving, because I think Thanksgiving's really late this year. Like
it is.
Like
it's
the
like
28th or something.
Yeah, it's like right at the very end of the month.
So we're getting real close. We haven't really talked about it.
It's true.
Or
anything else.
Or anything else, really. I mean, I did do a little bit of coverage on the Acolyte, the last series that was out.
Right, yeah.
I did a couple of shows. I did some guest spots on some other people's show, and so we talked about that one. I'm really not planning on revisiting that one.
Nah.
But I'm hoping that this one is everything that one was not.
I mean, it just looks like fun.
Well, and to me,
it just looks like fun.
Yeah, and that's my first that's my first reaction to it, is that what have I been saying for 2 years now is missing from my Star Wars?
Fun.
It's not fun anymore. And it's not to say that it's not good. Mm-hmm. I mean, Acolyte wasn't good, but the Andor, it took me a little while to get into Andor. Mm-hmm. Andor is a slog through those first few episodes, and it's not that they're not well written, mm-hmm. but it's that it's Star Wars devoid of the fun, mm-hmm. and it was a long build up. Now, those last 5 episodes, tremendous. Mm-hmm. Some of the best Star Wars we've gotten in this era of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I fully expect the new season to just pick up with that sort of momentum. Mm-hmm. I hope
so. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't.
So I'm hoping to pick up with that momentum and carry forward. Mm-hmm. But while Andor is a lot of things, tremendously well written, it's beautiful. It's very, like the last 5 episodes is when it really starts to feel Star Wars. Mm-hmm. It's, in some ways everything I want in a Star Wars, but it's still just kind of missing the heart of Star Wars, which is the fun of the adventure.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's plenty of adventure, but not the fun kind of adventure, right. The stressful kind of adventure.
Yeah. So So I'm not, when I say that the fun has been missing, I'm not saying it's all been bad.
Mm-hmm.
So don't think that. I think some of it's been very good, some of it's been very bad. It's been
Mm-hmm.
a mix. But this, and this is why I want to address kind of this statement that I've seen, just keep seeing almost across the board, is I keep seeing people react and say, well, it looks fun, but it doesn't look Star Wars. There's nothing Star Wars about it. I don't know what's not Star Wars about it. So if you're in the chat and you don't think it looks Star Wars, please fill me in. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that when I see it, it makes me think of all the things that I loved about Star Wars as a kid. And that's obviously what they're angling for.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's like, they're making it for kids. Maybe. I think there's some of that, but there's a lot of, oh, it's just Goonies in space. So first of all, when did Goonies become when did we start using that as a knock on something? Oh, it's like Goonies. It's like Goonies is one of the greatest kids movies ever made.
Yeah.
Like, and just kind of the Amblin vibes in general.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously what they're going for.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously John Watts' intent is to try to capture that Spielbergian
Mm-hmm.
magic of what Amblin was and
Right.
what they did, which was to throw kids into grown-up situations without a parent there to hold their hand.
Right.
You may get a wizened guide along the way, and we're getting that.
Right.
But it's this idea of that these kids have to go out and survive in a world that's not meant for them to be ready for.
Right. Exactly.
It's George Lucas's coming of age story.
And honestly, like all appearances, just from the trailer, just from the beginning, is that they're fairly privileged kids.
Yes.
They seem to be fairly privileged. It looks like it's maybe, if not a core world, at least core world adjacent. Like that house, is pretty nice. The schools, definitely.
The suburbs.
Yeah.
The California suburbs.
Yeah.
It's funny. And I've seen a lot of people go, well, that's not Star Wars. And I'm going like, we've seen every kind of planet and residence you can imagine, including big cities that cover entire planets. But somehow a suburb is where you're going to draw the line.
That's just too far.
Like suburbs and Star Wars. Well, I never.
Yeah.
Nick, it is so good to see you, man. Thanks for watching the episode I did yesterday and dropping some comments there. And thank you for tuning in for this tonight.
Yeah.
But so I kind of want, so like I said, in the chat, I know there's at least a couple of you there. So I kind of want to know what y'all think about, does it give off Star Wars vibes to you? Because I see a lot of people say it looks fun, but it's not Star Wars. And it's just so much like the heart and soul of what makes Star Wars Star Wars. At least what made Star Wars when I was a kid is the kind of adventure, like, now as an adult, I go back and watch the Ewok Adventures. They're really poorly made. Like, we could go out, we could get some costumes together. You probably have enough stuff in your collection to put something together. We could put some costumes together and go up to the hunting camp tomorrow with the cell phones and basically I'm serious. I think the cell phones today probably have as good a resolution as what they shot those films on. They were shot for TV. They weren't shot for, so they were not even shot in 720. They were probably shot in 480. They're just not high def. Maybe they were shot higher and then the resolution was cut because television really didn't broadcast higher than that. In fact, I don't even know what TV broadcast at that time, but before HD, I think we were at a 480, 480i or 480p.
That's not a me question.
So, well, 720 was HD, but now we wouldn't even really consider 720. I mean, technically it's HD, but like, is it really? I mean,
isn't like 10 something?
We're 4K for the most part now.
Yeah.
1080 was the predecessor of 4K. Now we're at 4K, and now we have cameras that are shooting 8K, 16K. We're still years away from televisions, and at some point, the human eye is not going to be able to tell the difference anyway.
Yeah.
But in fact, I worry sometimes if it keeps, like, there's been some negative to the high resolution where it makes things look too clean and sparkly. It's more work to make things look aged. And you've seen that. I mean,
Mhm.
you were trying to age something on a set and you couldn't make it look.
Yeah, I kept putting dirt on it and putting dirt on it, and it was like it's you had to put way more on it than you thought, because like we just looking at it, it was like it's dirty, but then you looked at it through the camera lens and it's like it wasn't dirty at all.
Yeah. It's a huge universe. There's going to be a nice planet. A nice place, planet. He said it. Yeah, it's like some of these places are supposed to be nice. I mean, we've always known that. Like places
Right.
like Chandrilla, and like this could be a moon of some planet, or we don't know. The kids are trying to find their way home, so I'm speculating that it's a small kind of off the beaten path kind of place that
Mhm.
is not on a trade route. Maybe it's
Mhm.
but it's but it looks nice.
Mhm.
The school looks nice. I love that the kids are, the are troublemakers in the principal's office at the beginning
Yeah.
of the second trailer.
Mhm.
And I know the music in the trailer, a lot of people, and I'll get down on using modern music in Star Wars, but to me, it's a trailer. It's not in Star Wars. You're using a David Bowie song, like from it's Space Oddity. It's David Bowie. It's like, I mean, that's a beautiful melding of just time period that we're going for, right?
Mhm. I mean, I think that was definitely this is what we're going for statement.
Yes.
It's definitely a statement. Yes, this I like your observation here, Nick.
100%.
What we hoped Caravan of Courage would be and wasn't.
Yeah, and
But
that's the thing is
alas.
like, but as a kid,
Mhm.
I loved those movies
Mhm.
so much that when they came out on DVD, I have them. I have them on DVD, not the old VHSs or some pirated thing. I mean, I've got the DVDs. Like I said, they're awful. They're the kind of thing where there's a cool story there. They're fun. But they're kind of bad.
Yeah.
Like some of the scenes you watch them and go, I don't even know if they had a director, if they were just making this up. Like it was just the actors out there with some handhelds. I don't know. It seriously looks like that at times.
Mhm.
My favorite scene, like right at the beginning, right after they've crashed and they're walking, and the boy, the older of the kids,
Mhm.
his like it cuts to him standing on a hill and he's like doing this number, and it's like, oh man, like, and it cuts away. It just shows him up on the hill looking, and it cuts
For no
back
reason.
to them, and it's like, wow, like
Somebody was like, "Oh, I like that shot. Just stick it in there somewhere. It doesn't
Yes.
matter where."
yes.
Bad editing, friends. It's all about the editor.
But I'm loving the vibes of these trailers.
Mhm.
It's giving me the Star Wars energy I've been begging for.
And honestly, like, if you really think about it, Luke is supposed to be what, 17 in A New Hope?
Yeah, they've kind of waffled back and forth on that, but yeah, somewhere.
I
right
mean,
in
so
there.
these kids are like
I think
what?
some of the new stuff may show him slightly older, college age. But
Okay. But so really,
oh, nice. I didn't realize that, Nick.
oh, that's fun.
It was definitely among my first. I saw all these things so early on that I can't really remember for sure. I know I saw the 3 original movies first,
Mhm.
but these would have come out about the time that I was
The right age for
the
'em.
right age to be aware that they were coming out.
Mhm.
And
Be excited about them and have to
Right.
track them down, yeah. So like they're not just a whole lot younger than our New Hope protagonist, really. I mean,
no, I
you're
mean,
looking at the difference between
no, these are literally like when George Lucas describes Star Wars, and you go
Mhm.
back and look at some of those quotes, and I don't have it here tonight where I can pull it up, but
Mhm.
the quotes where he's talking about it's for these like 12, 13-year-olds
Mhm.
that are about to step off into a new world
Mhm.
and have to start to grow up.
Yeah.
It's like we're fixing to like see that play out in
Yeah.
Star Wars, which is really cool.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it looks like fun. I think it looks optimistic. That's what it looks like to me. It looks optimistic, and
You mean
I'm
maybe hope for
so
Star Wars again?
hoping anything.
Yeah.
I'm so tired. I'm so tired of just like life. In case you hadn't turned on the TV recently or cracked open a newspaper or read a headline, the world's not the cheeriest place ever conceived at the
No.
moment. And can we just get like some optimism
Yeah.
in our
I think
entertainment?
I think that's where this is going. I think this is, and like Nick's saying, this will be a lot of kids' first Star Wars. One,
Hmm.
because it's on Disney Plus, it's accessible. And that's one of the beautiful thing about Disney Plus. I know there's a lot of Star Wars should go back to only making movies. And look,
Mhm.
I get that to some degree, but I think people forget how wildly popular things like the Droids cartoon, the Ewoks cartoon, the Ewok movies, even though they weren't very good, people watched them.
Mhm.
They're part of what kept
Mhm.
the fan base going during
Right.
the dark times. It's, I mean, we had
Yeah.
20 years with that was our Star Wars, that and
Yeah.
the books and
Mhm.
the Dark Horse comics and those things. Those were
Mhm.
our Star Wars, and that's why it's people get offended. Hey, when you say, "Oh,
Yeah.
the expanded universe was garbage anyway," and people get offended. Yeah, that's why, because that was Star Wars for 20 years.
Yeah.
And so I fully like. I mean, if the show's terrible, I'll come
Right.
back and tell you it's terrible.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm with Ubaldo. I'm always going to be optimistic about Star Wars.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, even whenever everything's saying, ugh, I'm going to be optimistic about it. I'm going to.
The thing is, there's nothing about the only people we've heard comment on it that know what's in it. And that's speculation still, is that Lucasfilm is less than impressed by it.
Well, that might
But
be a good
Lucasfilm
thing.
thought The Acolyte was the greatest thing they had ever created.
Yeah. And this is the same studio who gave us Willow
Willow, the
series,
TV series.
yes.
Yeah. So,
which could have been so good.
100%. But let's not get derailed by Willow, because we're coming up on the 20-minute mark, and I want to talk a few specifics.
All right, specifics.
So super excited. It's not necessarily how I wanted Nick Frost in Star Wars, but Nick Frost voicing a droid, I will take it.
And the thing is, it's a voice. He can come back as a
the
face
thing.
character later.
And that's the thing. He can always come back.
I want Nick Frost and Simon Pegg as face characters in Star Wars.
Yeah, they will at this point have both been in Star Wars, but they're both, they love Star Wars. They're both actors that you would hope one day to see in Star Wars. Actually, I mean, I think they who's playing the Jedi in this, Jude Law, who's great. Jude Law is fantastic. Like, it's a great choice, but like, as this kind of just Jedi that's out there doing whatever during this time, Nick Frost would have been amazing at that role.
I mean, that's basically what he was in Into the Badlands.
Yes. And again, if you've only ever seen Nick Frost do comedy, please, please, please go watch Into the Badlands. Nick's been around long enough to hear me talk about Into the Badlands a lot. It's a great show, but it's also was the moment when I went, oh my gosh, Nick Frost is like a legit actor. Why isn't he in more stuff? But this is a really talented cast. From what I've seen from the kids so far, like, it seems like they're going to be okay at what they're doing. Kid actors, there's a lot of reason that kid actors sometimes come across like kid actors don't get the time to get things right. Adult actors do.
Oh yeah.
An adult actor can stay on set and do it till they get it right. Kid actors don't get that privilege. They can only be there so many hours a day.
And yeah. And they have to be, especially in scenes that are dark, they have a hard out at midnight, no matter what time they start. Like, you can't keep a kid on set all night.
Yeah. Jaleel White, yes, Steve Urkel in Star Wars. I mean, I'm looking forward to that.
That's crazy.
The actress, what was her name? That's playing one of the female leads, Carrie Condon. Who I'm really not that familiar with, other than the fact she's been voicing Friday in the Marvel stuff for a little while now. But just like a quick glance at her accolades with the Royal Theater Company, is, the Royal Shakespeare Company, is enough to make me go, okay, like, she's legit.
Yeah.
Like,
what do they say? Youngest actress to ever play Ophelia in the Royal Shakespeare Company?
Yep. So she can clearly act.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. And Shakespearean stage actors have always done really well in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Actually, I think stage actors probably do really well in heavily CGI. I discussed this at some point recently
Mm-hmm.
because you hear people talk about acting in the black box.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when it's CGI and there's nothing there to act against.
Mm-hmm.
Well, theater actors act. That's what they do. They act in the black box.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing there. It's just them and the
Mm-hmm.
fourth wall of the audience.
Right.
And so I think they're particularly adept at picking up the acting to things that aren't there.
Mm-hmm.
What else? What else jumps out to you in this trailer?
That there are lots of creatures in this show.
Lots of creatures. That's another
Lots
complaint
of
I've had for a
creatures.
long time. There's not enough creatures in my Star Wars.
I mean, we even have like a main character who's a creature, which I mean, that's
Yeah. So
have we done
the
that in
first
live
two
action?
Star Wars movies have limited creatures. The first movie, you get the cantina. You
Right,
get all
yeah.
kinds of creatures.
Yeah.
Now, Return of the Jedi, you really blow that up with Jabba's palace.
Mm-hmm.
And then even some Ugnaughts when we get to, that's actually Empire.
Mm-hmm.
But you get the Jabba's palace is like taking the cantina and then stretching that
Mhm.
scene longer, so you get all those creatures for longer. It kind of set the bar for
Mhm.
creatures in Star Wars. And so yeah, I'm constantly saying, yeah, I want more of that.
And we saw lots of-
Mandalorian at times does a really good job with that as well. But other things not so much.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited about that. That's a
Mhm.
good thing.
Lots of I mean
I think the ships look great. The stuff in space looks fantastic.
I mean, honestly, there's really just there's no yes, the ships in Star Wars have to look good.
Yeah.
Like at this point, there's no excuse for Star Wars space not to be the best.
That's true. I mean, we do have a creature main character in Mando,
Oh, that's true.
Which is kind of a first. I mean, not really a Chewbacca, but
Yeah.
you get Chewbacca. But like the mass assortment, a place where there's more creature than people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so that's yeah. I'm all for some of that.
Goku is so cute.
I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what that shot at the end of the trailer or this shrine or whatever this is they've walked into at the end.
It looks like looks like a daggum Indiana Jones scene.
It does, but Sith Temple.
You know what it yeah.
I mean, like, we don't know what they wandered into, but we also get an Old Republic name drop in here.
Yeah, where'd you get Old Republic credits?
And I have been complaining and sort of like concerned that Lucasfilm was sort of erasing the idea of the Old Republic. There's been a lot of Old Republic erasure in this current era of Star Wars where we don't want to go back and do that. So let's do that. Let's create the High Republic. Right. And then we were like, and it's 1,000 years before. And then it was like, oh no, it's just a little while before. It's like 100 years before. It's like, okay, so, but are we compressing the timeline? So this kind of gives me hope. Hey, maybe we're not actually compressing the timeline. Maybe we're doing something because that shrine is going to be something old.
Well, and I mean, they've kind of introduced some. Well, I mean, and they're making a Dawn of the Jedi movie, so possibly this is some kind of tie-in. Do you think?
Could be. We could be starting to get some tie-ins to that.
I'm here for that.
That would be nice. Now, this show is set in the same, if I'm understanding correctly, in the kind of Mandoverse timeline.
Okay.
So, we could get overlap. I don't think we necessarily will, but we could get overlap with this show into the upcoming movie or any of the upcoming movies. Do we know the name? We don't know the name of Jude Law's character yet.
He's the Jedi.
He's the Jedi. If this is set when Luke is creating his temple, I would be absolutely beyond thrilled if this character was Corran Horn.
Okay.
That is a character that needs to be brought back into the fold. That's
Mhm.
one of Luke's students. He is an extraordinarily powerful Jedi, but not necessarily in the ways that we normally get from a Jedi. Like he's and it's an interesting read. The book I Jedi is maybe my favorite Legends book
Okay.
that really delved in. He's also in some of the X-Wing books, but that would be a fun character. Treasure Planet, yes, absolutely, and I think that's intentional. I think that they're definitely diving into the nostalgia, but not just the Star
Mhm.
Wars nostalgia.
Yeah.
They're diving in. So it has been said by a lot of people over the years that George Lucas somehow created Star Wars in 1977 with a feeling of nostalgia, a nostalgia for Buck Rogers and things that came in the 20s and 30s and 40s
Mhm.
and the space adventures, the serialized space adventures,
Right.
even radio dramas.
Mhm.
Like it's a callback to all that stuff.
Mhm.
And so he
Even
created
kind of John Carter.
yeah. So he created something in 1977 that it wasn't giving us nostalgia for Star Wars because that was brand new, but it was giving nostalgia for all these other things.
In some ways almost like Stranger Things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not I mean, not obviously it's not a one-for-one correlation, but that similar kind of here's a new thing that's that kind of like that thing you used to love.
Yeah. A live action Hondo, if they're not going to do it in this, I don't think they're going to do it.
You got to do it right.
Right. I mean, you hope so.
Yeah.
I would hate for them to pull off something cheap like, Hondo's not alive anymore. I mean, this is a little later than we last saw Hondo.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do Hondo, this is where you do it. And I think you'd be crazy to do Pirates and not do Hondo.
Yeah. He's Jack Sparrow in space.
Yeah. Especially the last time we see him. Because the last time we see him, he's really he's a villain when we first meet him. But he likes Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Jack likes Will.
Mm-hmm.
And so he kind of brings out the better parts of Hondo over time.
Yeah.
To where Hondo's full on rebel by the last time we get a look at him. So it would be interesting to see what they've done. What Hondo's doing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is he going back to piracy? Is he like a little more like, Star-Lord, like a little good, a little bad, one up both, that kind of thing. So yeah, I love the look. I love the tone.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people say it's not doesn't feel Star Wars at all. I'm going to disagree. We may get into the show and I change my mind.
Mm-hmm. But from what we've seen so far.
But if I turned off the volume
mm-hmm.
and just looked at the screenshots of it,
mm-hmm.
I think it looks very Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I get that the music may pull some people out of that. If they used that music in the show, I'd be like, why?
No, just don't say you did.
But I don't know. So any last thoughts before we wrap up?
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
I'm the eternal Star Wars optimist.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where I'm at today. We'll see how it goes.
Good deal. Well, so that's going to wrap up our thoughts on this. We will be doing weekly reviews of Skeleton Crew, as well as likely doing, as long as it kind of maintains. I'd have to stay sort of invested in it to do this, but pre-shows the day before drop.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of had some plans for that. We'll have to see if some ideas thrown around from other people as to how to do all that. We might do some of that. I'm not gonna give it away right now because I don't know if I'm gonna do it. But we have to see. Like, there's things that have to happen for me to.
You have to like it.
Well, I have to like it, but also like other things that have to happen for me to put my grilling area on screen for a show, right?
That's true.
So,
yeah.
But we're excited about that. We will be back. I will be back this week. I don't know if Marisha will be back with me or not. Hopefully she will, but we will be doing the same thing to talk about the Captain America 4 trailer, the Thunderbolts trailer, which I'm really, really excited about, and probably that What If trailer as well. And I don't know if we'll do that in 2 shows or one, probably 2. I think 3 trailers is going to be a little long to cover in one show while trying to keep them a little shorter. But lots coming in this week. Ubaldo, Nick, thank you so much for joining us in the chat. And that's going to do it for tonight. So guys, until next time, may the force be with you.
This podcast is a member of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts and content creators, visit bio.link/Red5.